All right, welcome back to the 2-Minute Warning, episode 416, back on the topic of Major League Baseball today. Today, I am going to be bringing you my way too early 2021 World Series predictions. Of course, very early in the season, or in the off-season, spring training just beginning, but I think it is now time for some early predictions. But before I get into this video today, question of the day is, for the Atlanta Braves, as a hitter, who is the franchise leader in walks? Again, if you know the answer, comment below. And if you don't, stick around to the end of the video and we'll discuss it then. But let's get right into the video. Who do I think will be, well, in the World Series and winning it eventually? To start off, I have a strong belief that the winner of the World Series will come out of the NL. I do think that the American League has very good teams in Toronto, in Chicago with the White Sox, and in New York with the Yankees. And then I guess maybe you want to talk about the Astros or Rays, but I think both of those teams will have a decline in production this year. So whoever wins the American League, I do think will have a great season, but fall short to whoever wins the National League. But who do I think will be winning the National League and eventually going on to the World Series? I do think that the Dodgers will not make it. I think they will be beat in the National League or in the NLCS by your Atlanta Braves. So my eventual winner of the National League will be the Atlanta Braves. And then, of course, based off what I just said, will be that they will eventually go on and win it all. Who do I have coming out of the AL? Well, that's a tough one. In a previous video, in my bold predictions video, I predicted a ALCS with Toronto against Chicago White Sox. That Chicago White Sox would fall short. I had said Blue Jays to the World Series, and I think I'm actually going to turn that around and say I have Chicago White Sox winning the American League and eventually facing the Atlanta Braves in the World Series. So that is my matchup, but let's look at each team and really what they have that will take them there. So starting with the Braves, why do I think they'll win the National League? Well, I am very confident in the fact that with with really one more starting pitcher last year in the NLCS, they could have closed out the Dodgers 4-1. As I mentioned, of course, Ian Anderson had some appearances last year in NLCS. He's expected to be very good this year, but he was kind of used in a way that wasn't really meant to be there. And then, of course, they had Max Fried, who was very, very good. So that's a guy that I expect to come back with fire this year. But they had to use A.J. Minter, a bullpen guy. They not really made to be a starter. At least he wasn't at the time. They had to use him as a starter in one of those, I think, they were up 3-1, so it must have been Game 5, I think, when everything turned around. They had to use pitchers they didn't want to use, and everything went downhill from there. They lost the series 4-3. I think this year, with the additions to their pitching staff in Charlie Morton from Tampa Bay, who's a great guy in the postseason, especially late in series, Game 7, Game 6, Game 7, he's very good coming in to start the games when they really need to be won. Charlie Morton is good there. And then, of course, Ian Anderson, who was young and still is a young guy that's very talented. And then also Max Fried, the lefty, that I am very impressed with how he pitched last season and expect him to do good. And then now they should have a healthy Mike Soroka to help lead that pitching staff. He was like a number 1 prospect 2 seasons ago, had a Achilles injury, maybe. That sounds like a pretty broad. That might just be completely wrong, but he was injured last year, will be back this year. Like I said, highly sought after Canadian prospect, very, very talented arm in Mike Soroka. They should have back this year, or will have back this year. So now we're looking at a starting rotation with Soroka, Anderson, and Max Fried, 3 aces there. So really a lot of this is based off the fact that they had the Dodgers pinned against the wall last year and let them out. I don't think that's going to happen again. But of course, the Dodgers have probably the best pitching staff in baseball, and if not them, that's going to the Padres, 2 teams that the Braves will likely have to face before getting to the World Series. Like I said, Padres and Dodgers, very good pitching staffs. Dodgers, of course, got Kershaw, Buehler, the new addition of Trevor Bauer, and David Price and Dustin May, and potentially Julio Urias. Personally, I think David Price will not be playing 2021 season with the Dodgers, and I think Julio Urias will fill his spot in the starting rotation. So that's 5 very talented guys there. And then in San Diego with the Padres, you've got Blake Snell, Chris Paddock, Mike Clevenger when he returns, but Yu Darvish and Joe Musgrove and Dinelson Lamet. 5 very talented arms in San Diego. So starting pitching staff, despite the Braves' addition of, like I said, Soroka, who's coming back, and Charlie Morton, I still think the Dodgers and the Padres have a better pitching staff. But we saw last year, again, the Braves were just one or two starting pitchers away from going all the way, which now they have those starters. And then the Padres and the Dodgers are both teams that, while are very talented, I think are very beatable by a team like the Braves, who execute small ball very, very well. I think that the Dodgers and Padres are both teams that are going to win games, try to win games 8-0, or not 8-0, but by scoring 8-10 runs by hitting the long ball. Of course, Slam Diego put together 4 straight games with the Grand Slam last year. That's how they win games. And the Braves, while they can play the long ball, Austin Riley can hit a ball 480 feet. Dansby Swanson has had his share of home runs, although he's not really known for his power. But Freddie Freeman, best first baseman in the league, can drive the ball over the fence. And then between Acuna and Albies, you're going to have home runs hit on that team. So the Braves can play that style of baseball. But I think the Braves can play more of a small ball type of game that will excel them all the way to the World Series. And then, of course, other teams. You got the Cardinals that I do think will have a good year but won't really be in World Series contention. So, again, my National League winner is the Atlanta Braves. Again, the Dodgers and Padres will be contenders, very, very legit contenders. But I do think the Braves' style of baseball will excel and push them over the top of the Dodgers and the Padres to win the NL. And then out of the AL, of course, I just said that it's going to be between, I think, the Blue Jays and the White Sox ALCS. I do think the White Sox will come out on top. Earlier I had the Blue Jays, but I just think that Blue Jays roster is very, very young. Now, mind you, the White Sox, 2 big guys drawing a blank on their outfield, but their outfield in Luis Robert and Eloy Jimenez, are very talented, but they're also young guys, so that's kind of the same aspect there in Toronto. But I do think, of course, in Abreu's veteran presence in the infield, which he really came out of nowhere, winning AL MVP last year. But Abreu had a good season last year. They got a good second baseman. They have Tim Anderson, one of the better shortstops in baseball, Moncada at third, and then arguably between him and JT Realmuto, the best catcher in baseball in Yasmani Grandal there behind the plate in Chicago with the White Sox. Now, I do think, like I said, the Blue Jays definitely don't have a roster you want to laugh at in Guerrero and Bichette and Springer now and Simeon there in the infield. Very good team there, and I do think those young guys will put together a very good season, 95, 100 wins, and go all the way to the American League Conference Series, but lose to the White Sox. And then where do the Yankees fall into place here? The Yankees are going to do typical last couple year Yankees things, put together a very good season, go into the playoffs as a favorite, then just kind of mellow out and fall short in the divisional series. And I say that they've done that. I think they did that once in the last 3 years, because last year they made it to the ALCS, lost to the Astros. 2 years ago. Last year the Yankees fell short to the Rays on that Mike Brasso home run. The year before, they made the ALCS. So whatever. I think they're going to do the similar thing last year that the Yankees did last year. They're going to put together a good year, fall short in the ALDS maybe to Chicago or to Toronto. Maybe we'll see the Angels in the playoffs this year. Maybe we'll see the Astros make a push. Maybe the Rays. I'm not sure. But I do have the White Sox. And then, of course, the White Sox winning the AL. They did acquire Liam Hendricks, the best reliever in baseball. I think he'll be good in that bullpen for sure. And then who they got starters? They got Dallas Keuchel. They got Lucas Giolito. So this White Sox starting pitching rotation is certainly nothing to laugh at. So again, to recap that, I have my way too early World Series prediction is the Atlanta Braves versus Chicago White Sox. Braves come out on top. We'll say we'll let it go. We'll let it go 6 games. So I think Braves win the series 4-2. White Sox put up a fight, but aren't going to be quite good enough. And of course, I have the White Sox winning the American League. Guys, comment below if you agree with my take for my way too early prediction or have something else in mind for the 2021 World Series. But that's all for the video, guys. As far as your question today, really one of the only categories offensively in Braves history that Hank Aaron does not lead, and that is walks, and that is legendary. Braves infielder Chipper Jones has the most walks in Braves history. Guys, thanks for watching 2 Minute Warning.